everybody. All right, so for today, I really wanted to give some information on fiftism and what is fiftism. But it turns out that this is a decently sized rabbit hole. We're going to try and get a basic understanding of the whole entire thing, but I'm going to do a little different, obviously, because I'm talking to you directly. And also, you can see we are on my phone screen recording. So, yeah, so here's the fithist hub. As you can see, we have this nice, beautiful star thing. And then we have this nice, beautiful poem. In particular, there's also some music with the you and me part being highlighted. We will listen to that at a later time. So, first of all, we're going to read the overview. Alrighty? In a southern accent, also. Hey there, fella. Glad you stopped by. I mean, you'll do. Better than nothing. No, really, come on in. We ain't kooks. You might ask me why you're here. Well, that's because you're part of the Fifthist Church. You were drawn here a long time ago. As a matter of fact, you didn't have much say in the matter. You could say it's something like fate, predestination, or maybe some retro causality. Maybe it's backwards like that. Who knows? Maybe it's forwards, too. Not a religious type, you say? Oh, well, that's fine. We ain't into praying and all that either. A lot of us here are backsliders. Church is just one of them words people throw around. Fifthist church, Fifthist collective, Fifthist book publishing, Fifthist psychedelic surf rock, Fifthist lip balm, etc., etc. It's fiftism is all that matters. What does fiftism mean? Well, it's not a name my congregation came up with. A while back, there was a bunch of new agey hip types who went and published a book. Yanks call themselves the Fifth Church, and that name stuck. But the most likely case is that there are always 5 manifestations of fiftism. Always. There's usually cult up north, out west, and, well, yours truly. I ain't never heard of no commie fithists or nothing. There's even been fiftism all throughout time. Think of fifthist protozoans. Think of fifthist suns. Hearken to creation. Concept of a universe. What makes them fifthist? Patterns, signals, magic. The impossible. A fifthist concept will solely transcend reality. When that concept blossoms, it falls like ripened fruit. Brother, oh, to be consumed and shat by the Lord glowing hands himself. It becomes reality. We see the fifth world, brother. And we too shall fall like the epoctic house before us, and be shat as they were. Eventually. Us southern fifthist have been around for years. Maybe someone's keeping us from blowing down wind? Hate to be paranoid. Hate to think something out there was scared of the last southern fifthist after they done came to term. But enough with all this morbid talk about dying and different other universally forces of nature and top-secret paragovernment organizations. Yeah, we know about you. We're getting really tired of your shit. We're still alive, so to hell with you. To hell with this fiftism and talk of fiftism. We got money to raise. Get out of my face. Join me in outer space. Roll that frog footage. Light those candles. Send a check or money world order to 390. So that our corpses may bloat and explode. And from that heaping viscera, we shall rise again as pungent fumes. Okay, so as you can see, this whole entire thing went sort of normal. We got some sort of explanation of what fiftism is. And that went complete and total nonsensical bullshit, okay? When you first read this and you have no idea what this shit is, you have no idea what the fuck you just read. So, let's go into some explanations. Okay, so first of all, let's go all the way up here to something called do it yourself. So, it says at the beginning, what we need to know, which is, what is fiftism? Fiftism is an anomalous way of thinking, and could be more easily understood as a byproduct of theta prime. Fifthist concepts are virulent and evolve from mundane subjects such as a surf rock band, self-help book, or baptisms, stamp collecting, chapstick, etc. Okay? And the overall feel of each manifestation of fiftism should be a concept that is transcending reality in subtle, unmistakable manners, and the people and entities caught up in it all. there are always 5 branches of fifithism at any one point in time, reinventing themselves in various iterations. A fifthist concept is classically defined by these qualities. 1. Each branch is a group of individuals. An example could be a cult or following or fan base. 2. Each branch dies and is reborn as something else, loosely related to its previous form. 3. A fithist sect begins as something completely unrelated to fifithism and slowly metamorphosizes into a fifthist concept, at which point it begins to transcend or warp reality. And 4. The fifthist entity is not directly observed and is generally agreed to be unknowable. It cannot be certain that fifithism itself is any manifestation of its motives or lack of motives. And last but not least, we have a little thing that says how to make a fifthist GUI format. So for any of you guys who are wondering what this little tiny tidbit is, it's basically somebody going over and trying to make their own fifthist story. Obviously, well, maybe obviously for some people, the SCP Foundation, the whole entire SCP universe, is basically a whole bunch of volunteer writers going together, creating a whole entire multiverse full of just fun, spoopy, scary, happy things, just everywhere. We have just a whole bunch of fun stuff. So what this is basically doing is it's trying to say, well, how do I make this fifithism stuff? Now, in particular, if you want to make an SCP entry, you have to go over and you have to have the number, the level of difficulty for containing it, description, like how to contain the thing, like all of it in a specific order, all of it is specifically written in a certain way. It's sort of the same concept for other, like I should say, GOIs, or groups of interest, like the Marshall Carter Dark area. Trying to think of other things. Shit. There's a bunch of other random places you have to have a specific order. With fifithism, that's not the case. It just depends on what you're trying to do. Now, you might be wondering, where is all of this going? So, now that we pretty much got that, let's finish reading this part right here. Fifthist documentations vary as much as manifestations of fifithism vary. Like I said, there is no core fifthist documentation. It depends on the fifthist concept you're writing about. West Coast fifthist commonly document things in song lyrics. Now, I'm going to go over and I'll quick show you some of the stuff that you can find. Now, obviously, we have this nice, beautiful thing. You can go over and tap that. I'm not going to tap it right now. You can basically tap, I'm trying to highlight it. That thing. You see that? So you can tap this. You can get a nice, beautiful song written by a nice, beautiful individual. But let's go to this. Okay, so this part right here, it goes over and it basically shows you, as we can see, a whole bunch of links to a whole bunch of stories. Now, this is not only just stories. We have, okay, I'll just show this to you. Okay, so obviously you see a story. Now we go over and go back. And we click this thing. Okay, so this is the thing afterwards. Okay, as you can see, we got a whole entire song. So for this section of fifithism, we have a story and musical lyrics being put together. The reason for that is because this section right here deals with a band group. Now, a whole bunch of these stories here basically go over and they tell you some of the fifthist stories that have been written before. As you can see right over here, fifthist church, fifthist collective, fifthist, all that stuff. It's basically their own, like, each one of those is a different fifthist concept someone has written over the years. Now, how does all this stuff work? Well, as you could see with this part here, it first starts off sort of normal, like, how things are supposed to be, and then all of a sudden you just devolve into something more insane, which is over here. Now, one of the things that originally may not have popped out to you is this first sentence right here, because we're trying to basically get all as much information, right? The first sentence that is written here is very interesting because it says fifithism is an anomalous way of thinking and can be more easily understood as a byproduct of theta primes. That means it is a symptom of something else. So the question is, what is theta prime? Well, if we click this thing right here, we are brought to the Antimemetics Division Hub. In particular, I will read this part here, and then we're going to go a little bit more into stuff. An anti-meme is an idea with self-censoring properties. An idea which, by its altruistic nature, discourages or prevents people from spreading it. Anti-memes are real. Think of any piece of information which you wouldn't share with anybody, like passwords, taboos, and dirty secrets, or any piece of information which would be difficult to share even if you tried. Complex equations, very boring passages of text, large blocks of random numbers, and dreams. But anomalous anti-memes are another matter entirely. How do you contain something you can't record or remember? How do you fight a war against an enemy with effortless, perfect camouflage, when you can never even know you're at war? Welcome to the Antimemetics Division. No, this is not your first day, which then we go over and we go into a huge list of things that you could possibly read, and I would highly suggest reading them. While we will be going over and reading about SCP-3125, we are not going to go into the details of all of this, at least not today. There's just way too much information for me to read, and I tried to read some of this. I tried to go over and read, in particular, There Is No Antimemetics Division, but this stuff literally takes 20 minutes for me to read out loud for one story each. So it's just too much. So now that we have an understanding of what antimemetics are, whatever this state of prime is, it most likely is an anti-meme. So basically just something that's trying to self-censor. Let's go into memetics, because memetics gives us another understanding of what's going on. So I will quick look that up now. Okay, so now that we're in the understanding of memetics, we're going to get a little basic understanding of what memetics are, because we know what antimemetics are. Now let's go into what memetics are. Summary for those in a hurry: memetics deal with information transfer, specifically cultural information in society. The basic idea is to conflate the exchange of information between people with genetic material to track the mutation of ideas as they are transmitted from one person to the next in the way you could track viral transmissions and mutations. However, a meme also provides benefits to the carrier if they spread it. So we have something that says meme, we have something that says genetics. You go over, you put the things together, and we have memetics. So it is something to do with memes and genetics put together. So let's go through. Memetics does not refer to telepathy, ESP, or any imaginary psychic mental magic. These words are memetic. If you understand them, then they are having a completely ordinary memetic effect on you. Memetics, in regards to SCP objects, tends to focus on the impossible rather than the mundane, regarding the effects that are transmitted via information. In general, the effects themselves should remain in the realm of information. A memetic SCP would more likely be a phrase that makes you think you have wings, as opposed to a phrase that makes you actually grow a pair of wings. If you write up magic words that make people grow wings, it should be described as something other than memetic. Memetic SCPs do not emanate auras or project beams. They are SCPs which involve ideas and symbols which trigger a response in those who understand them. So as we can see, we're going to be going into the whole entire thing right now. Because why not? Memetics is not a thing that emanates an aura. Okay, memetic is often incorrectly used by new personnel as the official sounding term for weird mind shit. However, it is not actually what memetics means. These words are memetic. They are producing a memetic effect in your mind right now without any magical mind rays flashing out of your computer monitor to grasp your fragile consciousnesses. Memes are information, or more specifically, cultural information. Outside of the Foundation's walls, the concept of memetics is not taken very seriously. It is a theory that conflates the transfer of cultural information with evolutionary biology, meme memetic, gene genetic, put together. The idea was that certain memes prosper and others wither, the same way certain genes produce stronger offspring that outcompete creatures with different genes. Also, it is easy to compare the spread and mutation of information to the spread of a virus. The reason we use the term memetic in our work is largely due to this, as the truly dangerous memes out there can be spread like wildfire due to the fact that the very knowledge of them can count as an infection. Understanding the true nature of memetic threats is critical to surviving them. You cannot wear a special set of magical goggles of telekill to protect yourself from a meme. The goggles do nothing. If you just read those words in your head with a bad Teutonic accent, congratulations on being a victim of yet another mimetic effect. If you do not know that phrase was oft-repeated quote from The Simpsons, then congratulations! You are now infected with that knowledge and are free to participate in its spread. A meme perpetuates itself by being beneficial to the carrier to the spread of new hosts. You now understand that the goggles do nothing? You are in on the joke. However, you might have friends who aren't and don't get it. It benefits you to explain to them, because then you both have something new to laugh together about when it gets brought up. This is what makes a meme effective. How much incentive a carrier has to spread it. Unless an anomalous meme's effect is the compulsive urge for the carrier to infect others, there needs to be an incentive to spread it. An artifact can no more have a mimetic aura or project a mimetic beam than a creature could have a genetic aura or a genetic beam. Even though you could imagine a creature with genes that allow it to produce some kind of aura or beam like a big doofy X-Man, remember that the examples we have of such creatures in containment are not getting their superpower emanations from anything resembling our scientific understanding of genetics and biology. Neither are the mimetic artifacts. We contain these things specifically because we cannot understand or yet explain them. At the end of the day, we are still using a clumsy concept to describe things we don't have a full grasp of. It is very rare that anything with a dangerous mimetic component could be described as hostile to begin with. We do not contain mimetic threats because they are out to get us. They are threats because it is dangerous for us to merely perceive them. It is exceptionally rare for dangerous memes to have even anything resembling sapience, with the exception of certain known entities which currently exist within the medium of cultural information, such as SCP-blank, SCP-732, and SCP-423. A dangerous meme is basically a trigger that sets off something inside you that you may or may not have been aware of. What would be your nerd-geek reaction to knowing that your rival is sleeping with your one true love? How would you react if you were to unwittingly catch them in the act? That kind of sudden revelation can make a mild-mannered citizen into a killer, so don't be surprised that there are other strange bits of information out there that can break the human mind in different yet equally drastic ways. Protecting yourself from a mimetic threat is very tricky and can be worse than the threat itself. There are reasons that we behave the way we do. There are reasons our emotions soar when we hear just the right combination of sounds in a piece of music. Do you want to stop thinking about The Simpsons or your obnoxious nerdy friends that quote it every time you hear the phrase, "My goggles do nothing"? That would require forgetting about The Simpsons and your friends. Do you want to survive hearing or reading the phrase blank blank blank? Well, sadly, we don't quite know what other information you need to forget or know to prevent data expunged. But we're getting better. Lobotomies and pills help, and are one of the few times that the cure is not worse than the disease. The sum total of our human condition, our cultural knowledge and upbringing and memories and identity, this is what makes us susceptible to the occasional mimetic compulsion. So it's not the basalt monolith or its cursed carvings that is making you strangle your companions with your own intestines. The problem was within you all along. Should you ever find yourself under a mimetic compulsion and aware of the fact, remember that there are certain mental exercises that you can perform which may save your life or the lives of your companions. Changing the information your mind is being presented with may just change how you react to it, and the more abrupt or absurd the change is, the better. Imagine the fearsome entity is wearing a bright pink nightgown. Draw a mustache on the haunted painting. Pee on the stone altar. Wear the terrible sculpture like a hat. And if all else fails, bend over and kiss your ass goodbye. I am not kidding. That could actually help. Dr. Johannes Sorts received a special dispensation to use the word doofy in this document. But seriously, this was originally intended as a piece of fiction on its own before it got stuck into the information bar with plenty of other plainly out-of-character writing guides. So here's the important things to take away. 1. Memetics is a specific concept regarding information exchange. It has nothing to do with telepathy or ESP or psychic compulsions. 2. SCP-148 has no effect on anything memetic. Don't screw this up, or we will give you an incredibly hard time about it. 3. Psychic compulsions are lame, and you should think twice before using them in your new SCP, even if you are avoiding misusing the term memetic when you do it. 4. Sort's rule for all memetic SCPs is memetic effect plus crazy death equals failure. And 5. Wear like a hat! Okay, that's pretty much it. So, now that we pretty much read all of that nice, beautiful information, we are going to be going into SCP-3125 because now that we've got the basic understanding of memetics, antimemetics, we're going to actually see what this interesting creature actually looks like in the Foundation.
Item number, SCP-3125. Object class, Keter. Special containment procedures. SCP-3125 is kept inside a cognito-hazard containment unit, 3125, on the first floor of Site 41. This containment unit is a 10-meter by 15-meter by 13-meter cubicle room, clad in layers of lead, sunproofing, and telepathic shielding. Access is through an airlock system at one end of the containment unit. This airlock is programmed to allow only one person to enter the containment unit at a time, and to remain locked until this person exits before allowing another person to enter. Under no circumstances may any coherent information be allowed to leave the containment unit. This includes written and electronic notes, photographs, audio and video recordings, sound, electromagnetic and particle-based signals, and PSI emanations. During the exit cycle, a purge system rigged to the airlock flushes the occupant's memory by flooding the airlock with amnestic gas for 3 minutes. A senior Antimemetics Division staff member must visit SCP-3125 every 6 weeks or 42 days. End of file. Item number, SCP-3125. Object class, Keter. Special containment procedures. SCP-3125 is subject to inverted containment protocols, and is present everywhere in reality except for those places which have been specifically purged of its influence. The interior of Cognito Hazard Containment Unit, 3125, on Site 41, where this document resides, is the only location in the world known to have been successfully purged in this way. This containment unit is a 10-meter by 15-meter by 3-meter cubicle room clad in layers of lead, sunproofing material, and telepathic shielding. Access is through an airlock system at one end of the containment unit. This airlock is programmed to allow only one person to enter the containment unit at a time, and to remain locked until this person exits before allowing another person to enter. Under no circumstances may any coherent information be allowed to leave the containment unit. This includes written and electronic notes, photographs, audio and video recordings, sound, electromagnetic and particle-based signals, and PSI emanations. A purge system rigged to the airlock flushes the occupant's memory by flooding the airlock with an amnestic gas for 3 minutes during the exit cycle. An alternate SCP entry must be maintained in the main Foundation database, giving only the technical specifications of the containment unit. Provisions for senior Antimemetics Division staff to visit the unit's interior on a regular basis, and no description. Description. SCP-3125 is an extremely large, see blank document fractional topography, attachment 13, highly aggressive, anomalous, metastasized meme complex originating externally to our reality and now partially intersecting it. SCP-3125 is adapted for survival in an idyllic ecology considerably more violent and hostile than our own. Here, on our own refers to human headspace, the set of all ideas which humans have or are biologically capable of having. Because humans have no natural exposure to ideas as aggressive as SCP-3125, human minds have no protective evolutionary adaptations against it. Individuals possessed of SCP-3125 become incapable of entertaining weaker, conventional ideas. and become instead wholly bodily subordinate to the purpose of serving and disseminating the core concepts of SCP-3125. In addition, although undergoing an outwardly visible physical alteration, they cease to be externally recognizable as human. SCP-3125 is not yet entirely present in our reality. Upon its arrival, the highly interconnected nature of human knowledge exchange systems means that it will take no longer than 12 hours, possibly as few as 4 hours, to encompass, dominate, and replace all human thought. At this point, humanity, as an abstract concept, along with all attendant abstracts such as civilization, culture, society, community, and family, will have ceased to exist. Foundation terms such an eventuality as an MK-class end-of-the-world scenario. The Foundation possesses numerous proven techniques for arresting the spread of such aggressive idea complexes, but these are all rendered unworkable in practice by SCP-3125's automatic defense response boundary layer. Fully assembling a mental picture of SCP-3125 and perceiving its true shape causes SCP-3125 in turn to be able to perceive the observer. It then attacks the observer, killing them. The mechanism of the attack is unclear, but appears to be at least partially physical. Mental bystanders, individuals whose thoughts and ideas resemble those of the observer, are also attacked. This invariably includes the observer's entire extended research group, and often their close family, parents, and offspring. The attack has the net effect of erasing all knowledge, both of SCP-3125 and its attack from the world. This informational numbing effect performs a similar function to the anesthetic saliva from a mosquito's bite, enabling SCP-3125 to evade detection prior to its full incarnation. Foundation staff discovering SCP-3125 may be able to escape its attack via prompt use of amnestic medication to erase their knowledge of it. In either case, the net result is that the interior of a suitably shielded containment unit is the only location where it is safe to observe, record, or even acknowledge the existence of SCP-3125. Outside of such containment unit, a true written description of SCP-3125 would constitute a lethal cognitohazard. SCP-3125 could be effectively neutralized using a machine by the late Dr. Bartholomew Hughes, called an irrality amplifier, see schematic attachment 129. However, as well as requiring tremendous material resources, this machine could not be constructed without its builders understanding why it is being built, which would require an understanding of SCP-3125, which would prove fatal to the project. No means of neutralizing SCP-3125 using the resources in this room is known. History. Due to the described defense mechanism, SCP-3125's observation history is almost entirely missing. In particular, it is unclear exactly how this containment unit came to be built and how these containment procedures were established. Much data has been accrued in this containment unit over the course of successive visits by Foundation researchers. This data was brought from the outside in the hope of being useful and left here in accordance with the containment procedures. The reader will find multiple electronic copies of the Foundation database, academic data set of all kinds, and extensive public news archives. As to be expected, much of this data is not germane to the topic of containing SCP-3125. Nevertheless, correlation and analysis by successive visitors has allowed the following facts to emerge. 1. Although SCP-3125 is not yet fully present in our reality, its indirect effects / foreshocks, for example SCP blank blank, SCP blank, SCP blank, SCP blank, and SCP plus blank, are easily discovered by any well-equipped memetics research project. Second, memetics research is, today, a much diminished science from when it was at its peak. In mid-2008, there existed more than 400 institutions pursuing research likely to uncover SCP-3125, including government agencies, military branches, private corporations, independent laboratories, university projects, and notable amateur groups. Many of these were groups of interests or internal divisions within groups of interest. None of these groups still exist, except for the Foundation's Antimemetics Division. And third, almost nobody in the world is consciously aware of this decline, and explanations for the disappearance of these groups have not been forthcoming. Simple deduction gives that all of these groups eventually discovered SCP-3125 and were consumed by it. And that is, in fact, the inevitable fate of all competent memetics research. The Antimemetics Division's persistence is attributed to its specialist training and its ready access to reliable amnestic medication. Despite this, the division, too, has shrunk considerably in recent years. From a reported staff of well over 4,000 people in 2012, as of September 2015, 125. This figure is on track to reach 0 before the end of 2015. Over the same period, the division's physical worldwide presence has similarly shrunk. From a network of sites and similar outposts on every continent to this single site, Site 41. In particular, at Site 167, are now missing from the division's collective memory and presumed neutralized by SCP-3125's concealment response. Addendum. Further analysis of the available data, specifically architectural diagrams of Site 41, see Attachment 38, indicates the existence of a second containment unit on Site 41, conforming to the same basic design philosophy as this one. This second unit, S041-B30-000, was built 210 meters below ground level. It features identical broad-spectrum information cladding, but has more than 1,000 times the volume of cognitohazard containment unit 3125, along with an amnestic airlock large enough to ingest a 20-foot equivalent unit shipping container. Information relating to the date of construction and purpose of S041-B30-00 is absent from Foundation records and is presumed to have been deliberately erased. The unit itself is hermetically sealed and has been for an indeterminate period of time. Regardless of S041-B30-00's intended purpose, it, like any such containment unit, is capable of acting as a shelter from SCP-3125. Addendum 2. And the rest is hopefully blindingly obvious. S041-B30-00 was originally constructed to house a long-term project to construct Hughes's e-reality amplifier. While it's been going on, the rest of us have been fighting an unconscious war in order to buy time. We've been losing, but losing as slowly as humanly possible. The time we bought is now up. It's an extremely bad sign that nobody inside S041-B30-00 has broken the seal yet. But there is no ground left for us to cede. There are no more bodies to throw into SCP-3125's maw to slow it down. Data Prime is here. Ready or not, I am going to S041-B30-00 and use the machine. I think I can get the information out through the airlock. I think I can get to the vault alive. This was the plan. It's become garbled in the retelling because of variables. But I know this was my plan. Because I know myself. What else could it have been? Standard procedure is that I have to tell you what to do next if this doesn't work. That's the asynchronistic research covenant. But I don't have a good picture of who you can be. Reading this and alive? In your scenario, there is no machine. Hughes is missing. I'm dead. The site is ruined. And how did you even get here? Can you be the Foundation? Are you conscious? Is there a single word of this which you can comprehend? You live in a world bathed with SCP-3125. I can't help someone who doesn't exist. Marion Wheeler, Chief of Amnestics, November 30th, 2015. I found your body. And finding your body was a powerfully disorienting sensation for me. I don't mind admitting it. I used to know Marion. During the brief period in which I knew her, she wasn't one to admit defeat as easily as you. Still, that was a long time ago. Far be it from me to tell you your business, but I fear you missed a trick. From what evidence I can see, this was never the only Antimemetics Division site. There were others. I can imagine they are all now effectively invisible to most passers-by, of course, just like this one. But I presume that they, just like this one, still physically exist. Your plan, I think, was in place for longer than you know. And since you weren't at liberty to retain its details, you put it into action more than once. There's another vault fitting the description, oxide amnestic airlock and all. S167-001-6183. Site 167 is a non-entity, of course, which is most likely why you missed it. It's likely ruined. And quite definitely a long goddamn way from here on foot. But still, I think it's better than half a chance. I could die on this boondoggle too, as the world has become something of a horror show of late. In any case, I trust that anybody following in my footsteps and reading these additional words will have the presence of mind to pursue the same basic strategy, still existing despite of everything. Adam Wheeler, Interloper, May 4th, 2017. So, now that we have all of this information all laid out bare, let's basically piece everything together to the best of our abilities. Now, Theta Prime is a creature from another dimension, in particular the fifth dimension, for those of you who are wondering, that cannot be comprehended by the human mind, and if someone does actually physically see whatever this thing is, it literally takes them out of existence, not only them, but also family members and people who think like them. After going over and taking whomever it is out of existence, no one remembers them, and this is possibly due to the fact that whatever this thing is, it consumes information. Now, one could speculate that this thing, whatever it is, would find a whole entire sapient race of creatures with a culture and, knowledge and all this stuff rather tasty, which is possibly what it's trying to do. And the byproduct, the symptom of whatever this creature is when it tries to get in, is sometimes fithism, where it goes over and it literally plays a Plague Inc. game with humanity and causes a memetic infection throughout the human race. And at first, it seems fine, but as time goes on, we begin to see the true colors, and just like with Plague Inc., where humanity tries to defeat whatever virus this is, the Foundation and or groups of interest try to subdue whatever this is back into, non-existence, or a dormant state. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will hopefully, after all of this, read a couple stories and or SCPs after this, just to give a little taste of fiftism. But like I said, there is so much information on everything, and I would love to go through the whole entire Antimemetics Division, but at this moment in time, I am not focusing on that. I need to focus on 049's origins, so we're gonna go into more of that hopefully later. I hope to see you in another video.
1, 2, 3, 4. You and me should take a trip across the galaxy and feel the waves of our own energy. Everything will come together slowly, quietly. You and me We'll float through eternity. We'll stay up all night and wonder about where we've been and where we'll go, what we've seen and what we'll know, guided by the lights above us. So you and me, vessels on an open sea. You and me, I wanna be there with you to see it all within you, becoming a part of everything. You and me have seen the planets dancing around merrily. I dreamt about those far-off things that cannot help but make us sing about the beauty of the skies and how we want to live our lives. You and me, we'll finish our time here one day eventually, and when we're gone they'll look up here, see us grinning ear to ear. They'll follow us to heaven's arms, so infinitely greater, something that surpasses all our hopes and dreams. You and me, vessels on an open sea. You and me, I wanna be there with you to see it all within you, becoming a part of everything. I don't want you to think that this is just a passing thought. I've dreamt about it ever since the day you came and caught my heart. I'll give you this eternity and keep it by your side, so I can be there with you when you lay down and die. But don't weep for me, darling, there's nothing left to fear. I'm out here dancing with the stars, and soon you'll be here too. You and me, vessels on an open sea. You and me, I wanna be there with you to see it all within you, becoming a part of everything. You and me, vessels on an open sea. You and me, I wanna be there with you to see it all within you, becoming a part of